Welcome to Coffee Break with Rachel V. Hill, presented by Superbook Sports. Taking a daily look at the biggest stories in Denver sports and interacting live with you, the Coffee Break fam. So sit back, relax, grab a cup of joe, and enjoy your coffee break. Here's your host, Rachel V. Hill.
Well, good morning, everybody. Happy Thursday. D-Mac and I both rocking hats. I feel like I'm headed out to like the Hamptons or something. Trying to keep my face from getting sunburned out at camp, trying to stay cool. D-Mac, how was your Wednesday? How was the show yesterday?
The show is great. It was a weird night last night. So went out to kind of a cool little Italian place, sort of on the way to the Broncos. So it was a big bike day, but I was going to meet my wife and my son out at this Italian joint. And so we did. And then we ran into a friend of ours who we had not seen in literally years since COVID. And it's one of these friends that you just, there's nothing wrong with. You just sort of lose touch or you don't see her or whatever. Yeah. But it was amazing to see her. So we ended up closing down the restaurants. Not in a, falling down at the bar. It's more just like hanging out, talking, having a great time, sort of way. And then, but the reason I bring it up, there were unreal storms. So it kind of snuck up on us. And my bike is outside, just like it's locked up and it was fine. But you should have seen me because I was like, well, there's no escaping this one. I mean, there was just no way for me to like quickly get into a car. I had to go and unlock the bike. And so it was a weird night. It was like drenching, soaking wet and, crazy weather. So and then I wake up like it's beautiful. It's gorgeous out right now. So
I know. I'm like, where's the cloud cover when we need it at a camp? But the second we leave, I feel like it's always cloudy.
Why is it that you just look so much better than me, like with whatever you wear? Well, actually, that's pretty self-explanatory.
Oh, we'll have you try on this hat and see how you like it.
I'll look like an idiot. That's what I'll look like. All right, but we could have it can be a hat day today.
Definitely a hat day. Day 8 evaluation after one full week of camp. D-Mac, I'm curious to hear your thoughts. Who has impressed you? So let's do who has been hot in your mind.
Well, nobody's been hotter really than Justin Simmons. Oh. Justin Simmons has an interception every single day. Yep. He seems to be everywhere. He's getting praise from Sean Payton, rightfully so. I don't really know how you could get much hotter than Justin Simmons.
No, I would 100% agree with you. Justin Simmons has looked great, which unfortunately means Russell Wilson has looked bad. We can get into that whole thing. But Justin Simmons has looked good. Justin Simmons looked good last year. He led the league in interceptions. I don't think Justin Simmons has dropped off at all. So I think Bronco fans can get excited about the secondary again.
I also think Zach Allen on the interior pass rush, that was the replacement for Draymond Jones. I think he's looked really good too. There's been a lot of pressure up the middle. It's easy if we're doing who's hot and who's not just to dump on Russell Wilson. So I'm not going to even do that. We can say that for its own sort of category. But I'll say who's not is the offensive line right now. I don't think they're very cohesive, and they've really struggled giving up pressure kind of top to bottom. So, okay, the defense is ahead of the offense. Perhaps that's true. Mike McGlinchey said that he thinks this pass rush of the Broncos could be elite and very special. All right, cool. So I'll give some props in that. I'm sure we'll talk about Russell in other ways, but the defense has been hot. Simmons in particular, Zach Allen, and the offensive line they've had their struggles.
I actually like that you bring up Zach Allen because he was one of those names in like free agency and in the offseason where you were just like, yeah, like he can be really exciting. And I was like, okay, like Vance Joseph, the connection there with Arizona. And I feel like he's lived up to every single expectation. Again, this is training camp, so we haven't seen any gameplay, but I feel like he's just lived up to kind of that hype because he did play with JJ Watt for a little bit. There's like a huge mentorship right there. I can only imagine.
It's great to see good things happen rather than emphasize the bad things. And the Broncos defense is pretty talented, and I think Frank Clark was a good addition. I think Zach Allen, obviously, we've talked about. Randy Gregory so far has been healthy. They gave him a vet day off, and today's an easy day too. No pads today. We'll see how competitive they even go at anything today.
Mm-hmm.
And then it should really amp up on Friday and Saturday. So the fans not being there, you're not missing all that much today. But
Yeah.
you just never know. Look what happened with Tim Patrick, Rachel, when nothing was going on. So you never know what's going to happen out there in practice. Meanwhile, the offense
Should we just put the offense as a whole in this whole not category? Because they haven't looked all that great. There's been no giant sparks coming out of, the main stars that you're kind of hoping to see.
It's a struggle bus, I mean, there's again, it is hard to judge everything this briefly into training camp. So you don't want to totally freak out. But you've got to see better at some point from Russell Wilson. Although I'll tell you this, they're doing all this installation stuff. So they're putting all this stuff in that they think will work. And maybe it did work in the spring, but you put pads on and everything is just a little bit different. So a lot of this stuff, Rach, they just may throw out, they may just get rid of, and they'll just focus on the things that do work. And that would not be the first time that I've seen something like that. So I don't want to, panic.
So you're telling me that we're never going to see Russell Wilson throw down the middle? Because I think they kind of need that.
It's been tough. There just have not been that many moments in a team setting. I mean, when you're talking 7-on-7 or, 1-on-1, and they have done, 1-on-1s, you see sort of moments. I think, too, they just got to get more reps, too, for Russell Wilson. And maybe that is all coming. Who knows? I mean, you're going to – I know they like to say, we're just here, we're just there, it's just a few days. Hey, man, time goes quick. It goes shockingly fast. So they have been at it since April, and something needs to click in here a little bit better. Or you're going to see just a radically different approach, which would be a massive, heavy emphasis on running the ball, which hopefully would set up play action for deeper shots. And they would just ignore the middle of the field altogether. I mean, that would be a bummer if that had to be the case, but it's in the world of possibility.
I'm curious your thoughts on the offensive line, mainly because I say McGlinchey, who I've been joking, McFlunchy. He honestly gave me a lot of hope yesterday if he spoke to the media, and he's like, I'm still coming back. I'm learning the tempo and the pacing and everything. So I'm like, all right, this man takes his job very serious. You can just tell from his demeanor that he takes his job very seriously. He calls it one of the best in the world. But is the offensive line going to be able to protect Russell Wilson that well?
I don't know. I mean, Russell got sacked 55 times last year, most in the league. He has a hard time, just being in the pocket. That leads when you got a quarterback who holds on to the ball too long and just gets jumpy, Rach, it does lead to a lot of sacks. And we saw that with Tim Tebow years and years ago. So if you're not secure in the pocket, don't forget, it is a height thing with Russ to get over. And sometimes when you scramble out of the pocket, you think you're going to get away, and then you get knocked over, and it's like, well, I get, technically, I guess that's a sack, right? Yeah. So we are fixing to find out. But it's been tricky so far. And I mean, bad things are good things too. Like Nick Benito's had a pretty terrific camp and looked really good. Jonathan Cooper's looking good. Baron Browning isn't even back. The time that he's played, Randy Gregory's looked good, and he's fine. So I don't know. There's a lot of sort of good news with the bad news. And what you don't like seeing, here's the problem. When the protection is fine, when everything is good, and Russell Wilson has a guy and, can't find him in situations that he should find him, those are the moments those are the really frustrating moments of hey, everything was in the right place to make something happen, and it's still not. And you are seeing good plays from Russ every here and there. All right. I'm not saying it doesn't exist at all. Yeah. It's just not nearly as consistent as everybody would hope for.
I just want the offense to give you a little glimmer of hope. And I feel like we've been waiting for that day after day. So the longer you wait, the more disappointed you become when you don't see it. You mentioned getting Russ more reps, essentially. Do you really believe that? I guess not. Do you believe? Do you think it's weird how they have truly just split time against all three of them?
Yes and no. I was talking to James Palmer from NFL Network about that. because James, he lives here in Denver, but he goes all over the place. And he said, in the first week of camp or so, this is not that unusual, that it's kind of an even division amongst the quarterbacks. So listen, James goes to, maybe a dozen or so training camps a year, Rachel. So he certainly would know better than me about how other places do it. So I don't think the Broncos are doing anything all that different than any of the other teams. So I think it's okay. There's a preseason game coming up. Rach, it's coming. We got a preseason game, not this weekend, but the weekend after. Next week. Here we go.
Okay, well,
we'll see. We'll see. But we do know from all accounts that the starters, Russell Wilson, everybody will play in preseason games. And I think that is needed this year. I think that's a good thing this year. I think they need those type of reps. And what's also painfully clear is like today's a bad day to make any judgments on, because things are so radically different when they're wearing pads and they're not wearing pads. It's so different. It's so different that it's like, I'm not saying that today's a waste of time, but it's hard to put what's happening today on the same level as what's happened for the past 3 days.
Mm-hmm. That, of course, the players have to get their rest or their relaxing time a little bit, I guess.
Well, this is like court ordered. This is part of the CBA. You can only go in training camp 3 times, where you can go 3 days in a row in pads. Yeah. Okay. So they don't have a choice. This isn't like, glamping with Nathaniel Hackett last year. They literally are not allowed to go 4 days in a row in pads.
And we know that the officials are going to be out there today. Yep. They're coming in. They're doing a meeting with the team to go over all the new rules and everything like that. So many people have tagged me on how, and I think you kind of were mentioning it yesterday, D-Mac, about like the new kicking and what we could possibly see for punt returns and that kind of stuff. So many people tagged me this morning with the XFL formation, and we could possibly be seeing that. I'm curious your thoughts, because it is interesting. It's very unique.
There's a great video on YouTube, and the title is "Why the Kickoff is the Worst Play in Football." And I saw this about 5 years ago, and it changed my entire mindset about the kickoff, because the video is absolutely fantastic. And they literally use hundreds and hundreds of examples to prove what they're trying to prove. So without, breaking down all the nerd talk here, Rach, I'll just refer you to that video and just say unequivocally, the kickoff is the worst, most boring play in football. Okay. And it's been dangerous, and they've changed rules over time. What happens now is, because you can fair catch the ball anywhere on the field. So if you fair catch it at the 5, it'll now come out to the 25. Yeah. So what they've done, Rach, is they're trying to take the danger away from it. What you're referring to is that you all line up like 40 yards down the field, like 5 yards away from each other. And so you're only running into the kickoff guy, with about 5 yards to go, 10 yards to go. So you're not charging at him. This is stupid. So here's what they're working on with the Broncos. And I'm sure they're working on this with every single team. It's kind of this concept of I'm calling it a saucer kick. Like you would kick the ball so it would go sideways. Yeah. And it would go like 10 feet in the air. So above the first line. So nobody on the first line would be able to field it theoretically. And then it would just be like this heat-seeking missile going sideways down the middle of the field. So you can't fair catch it either. So instead of a pooch kick, you're hitting like this 10-yard high missile down the field. It's just goofy. And the only reason they're doing it is because there'll never be a pooch kick ever again. What's the point of it? Why would you do it? So I don't know. And Sean Payton did talk about it. He said, well, listen, if there's a penalty and you get 10 or 15 yards on a kickoff, why wouldn't you take advantage of that situation? So I actually love what they're doing. I love that they're practicing it. I love that they're being creative with it. I love that they're thinking about it. To me, this is a really, really good thing. I just think kickoffs are dumb. So they're doing the best they can with something that's out of their control, which is a dumb rule. So what do I think about it? I think kickoffs are stupid. I think after you score, you should get the ball. You get the ball, and it's 4th and 15 at your own 35. And in most cases, you will punt. And a punt is a much more interesting play top to bottom than a kickoff. I think they should just get rid of kickoffs. Just start the game. You win the coin toss. You start the game. First and 10 at your own 25, and you just go from there.
So you're taking away half of a kicker's job.
Yes. I don't feel obligated to reward kickers. And by the way, that's the easiest part of kickers' jobs at that level.
Oh.
I mean, every single kicker in the NFL can kick the ball through the end zone. It's not like high school and college where it's hard to do that. You know, you got to have a lot of strategery in high school and college.
Yep.
And in college, in high school, they do the fair catch, the 5-yard line, and it's just stupid. It's a boring play. It'd be way better if you got the ball. Think about it. No more onside kicks, which hardly ever work anyways.
But when they do, they're exciting.
Onside kicks are not exciting.
They are if they work.
There's.
They are if they work. I just love how much you actually hate like the kicking portion of this.
I hate boringness. You know, the one thing I'll tell you, I've always said this. Sports should be played as if they were invented yesterday. I can't imagine if you invented football yesterday, you would have kickoffs. It's a boring play. It's a bad, boring play. What's exciting is throwing, catching, running, football. That's an exciting play. So that's just where I am. Okay. Wait till you see these dumb kickoffs they're about to do.
Oh, I can't wait.
Wait till you see them. It's going to be all you may. Well, I don't know if you'll see it tonight. Well, there is football tonight. I don't know if teams are going to give it away, but it's nothing ingenious. Are you excited for football tonight?
I'm ready for football. Yeah, we'll have football every single week until February.
Here we go.
Thrilling.
Here we go.
Summer's over, everybody. Summer is.
Oh my God! When do you leave for Alaska?
Sunday morning at 3:30 a.m. Woo!
Hey, listen, good for you. I'm not jealous.
Yeah. Tip my hat to you on that comment right there, my friend. I'll tip my hat.
I think we should do coffee break while you're on a boat. Oh my God! You got to jump in a pool.
I don't have Wi-Fi on it.
There's no Wi-Fi on the.
You have to pay for it.
I don't know, Rachel. I think. Are
you gonna pay the $150 for me to get Wi-Fi?
Oh, I'm sorry. How much?
$150.
Holy cow! Wow.
Yeah.
So you're gonna go without Wi-Fi for an entire week?
I mean, when we get into like the ports and stuff, we'll have service. But yeah, when we're on the boat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's expensive to have Wi-Fi on a boat. Because think
about
when you're out at sea.
Are you going to survive that long without Wi-Fi?
Probably.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know, though. That feels like at least a videotape of jumping into a pool. I don't know.
When it's 50 degrees?
I think that makes it even better.
It was a heated pool, but yeah.
Jake jumps into it.
In Miami when it was 100 degrees.
Great. Well, you guys just blew it with me. You should have had me jump in the ocean when I was out there in Pacifica.
I know. Honestly, my dad said I blew it because I should have jumped in the ocean when I was in Hawaii.
Agreed.
I know.
Yeah, but it's going in with all of your regular clothes on. It's not going in a bathing suit or whatever. It's in your regular clothes on coffee break, jumping into water.
Yep.
Off something.
How far is Alaska behind time-wise?
They're like a century behind. Like they barely have electricity.
Like, is it 3?
Have you seen Mark Schlereth? How far are they behind? It's like his knuckles are dragging on the ground. He's like a caveman.
I'm saying, are they like 3 hours behind or is it 2 hours?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
Something.
Anyway, besides moving on with the times, though, Coach Prime is definitely...
Hold on. Hey, Google, what time is it in Anchorage right now?
The time in Anchorage, Alaska, United States, is 7:38 a.m.
Oh, Anchorage is only 2 hours behind us.
So it's 7:30.
Yeah. 2 hours. That's nothing.
It's not bad. You say that until you're up at 7:30 trying to jump in a pool.
Listen, Rachel, do whatever you want. Going on your fancy vacation. Summer's over.
I will do what I please. Thank you very much.
Are we doing anything else here?
We do have to talk about Coach Prime.
Oh, yeah.
The handles on the back of the jerseys caused quite the stir of reactions, a little more than I was actually thinking. I'm curious your first thoughts on it.
I thought it was fine. I think it's fun. I am all for things that make sports more fun. I was on with Chad Brown, though, yesterday, who's a proud Buffalo, and boy, was he having his get off my lawn moment. No doubt about that. You know, he was struggling with it.
Do you
but
say I was looking for people to get off your lawn?
I'm fine with it. How do you feel about it?
I don't really know, because I'm like, this is great and all, but then you're just like, when they go to the NFL, it's like team of everything. You know what I mean? There is no, oh, this is about you and NIL deals or whatever it is, which I think this is kind of what that's leading towards, is for people to be able to follow them. They can grow their platforms. They can make more money while they're in school, which I get that. That's great. But if they have bigger dreams and bigger aspirations, that stuff would never fly in the NFL. So I'm just
yeah, but I mean, so what? I mean, there's only probably a handful of kids on any Division I team that really have a legitimate shot at the NFL anyways. I think it's, hey, listen, you got to redefine yourself. You got to be a little bit different. You got to stand out from the crowd. And CU's taken a lot of slings and arrows for leaving the Pac-9. So I'm fine with it. I think it's cool, you know.
The Pac-9. Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
Well, I mean, what's happening to them? I mean, my goodness, it is pathetic. Hey, I'm watching something right now. This is I'm starting to give you some play-by-play. I'm watching my field. I have the Smoky Hill like football field, the practice field.
Mm-hmm.
There's like a robot line thing. I've never seen anything like this. Like, it's putting down the white chalk, but it's like automated. Like, it's just happening by itself. Nobody's actually doing it. It's like a remote control line dropper thing.
Is there a person out there with it?
He's in a cart. Yeah, he's just kind of looking at it. That's the craziest thing I've ever seen. It's a remote control laying down the lines, like the goal line, the 5-yard line, 10-yard line.
Interesting.
That's kind of cool.
So we're in the wrong industry. That person can just sit in his air-conditioned car and probably make a bunch of money doing that.
I've never seen anything like this in my life. That is absolutely wild. What will they think of next, Rachel? What will they think of next?
Who knows? Maybe giving free Wi-Fi on cruises. One day, maybe that'll happen. DMAC, as always, a pleasure. To everybody else, thank you so much for hanging out with us. We are headed out to practice again for day 8 of practice. Holy smokes. I love how you're wearing the bucket hat. We're both going to be rocking hats today, too. So we'll be back 10:30 tomorrow morning for a Friday edition of Coffee Break. We will see you guys all then. Make sure you follow us over on social media, too, and we'll give you guys the update on today, and we will see you guys tomorrow. Bye, everybody.